Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with my college football week 13 prediction video or preview video, whatever you want to call it. And this is for a lot of teams their last week of the season. This is rivalry weekend. A bunch of teams playing their last game against their arch rival. So this is going to be a fun weekend. This is always a weekend with many upsets. So we'll see what I have predicted. And for a lot of teams, like I said, this is going to be the last weekend. So this is really the last full prediction weekend of the season for me. It seems like it just went like that. It's crazy, but anyways, on Thanksgiving night we have TCU at Texas. Man, it's gonna be a tough environment. Texas at home on Thanksgiving night against TCU. This is their first real matchup as Big 12 opponents, and I think Texas gets it done. David Ash and Texas's running game will get it done against TCU's defense. Trevane Boykin, I do think he has a pretty good game, but Texas will overcome that, and there's a big different talent level of these two teams, and playing at home, Texas should get it done. And I'll go Texas 34, TCU 24, 34-24. Friday night, you have Ohio at Kent State. Kent State's already ranked number 23 in the BCS. I think their only loss in the season is Kentucky. Yep, and they're absolutely blasted by Kentucky, which is kind of weird. But Kent State, I'm not sure the two running backs' names, but they do have two really good running backs who can run on anybody in the country. And Ohio, as you all know, is ranked pretty much the whole season. They ended up losing the game, but just saying this game because it's a pretty good matchup. But I'm going to go Kent State either way in this game. I'll go 37-30 Kent State. Syracuse at Temple. Montel Harris will go off in this game. It'll be a really high-scoring game. Playing at home, Temple, Syracuse, Ryan Nassib, one of the better passing attacks in the Big East. I will go, Syracuse 42, Temple 40 in a close one. Nebraska, Iowa, Taylor Martinez, Rick Burkhead, Kenny Bell, no problem in this game. Iowa, I don't know, Iowa might pose a threat here playing at home on ABC on Friday, but Iowa's just not a good team this year. They're not fundamental, have too many injuries, subpar quarterback play, defense is average. So Nebraska 27, Iowa 14. LSU at Arkansas. This game's get really ugly. I thought Arkansas looked pretty good against Mississippi State in the first quarter, and then the last three quarters got absolutely blasted. I do think playing at home, Arkansas is kind of be looking for some revenge here, and they always play LSU tough on that Friday after Thanksgiving. It's always a fun game to watch, so I do think Arkansas plays them pretty tough, but in the second half, LSU will pull away with that running game, and I'll go LSU 30, Arkansas 14. Utah at Colorado. Utah can win this game by 50. Utah 43, Colorado 10. Oh man, I'm getting a headache. I've been getting bad headaches over my left eye lately. It's not healthy. Anyways, Washington at Washington State, a good rivalry game. A few years ago, this game would traditionally be a game between an 0-11 and a 1-10 team, and that's what it's been. Up until the last few years, Washington has improved under Steve Sarkisian. They've had some pretty good quarterback play, which has allowed them to be a better team. And Washington State still has a few years to go under Mike Leach before they're going to be any type of contender. So with that said, I'll go Washington Washington 44, Washington State 27. West Virginia at Iowa State. I'll go Iowa State in this game. I think Iowa State's defense wins this game. Jared Burnett will have a big game against that West Virginia defense. Even though I said Iowa State's defense will win the game, I do think West Virginia scores over 30. But I think a few turnovers that Iowa State will create will win this game, and they should have no problem scoring. I'll go Iowa State 40, West Virginia 30. South Florida at Cincinnati. Cincinnati probably the third best team in the Big East this year. South Florida surprisingly probably the worst team in the Big East this year. Just bad quarterback play, no run game, bad defense. Skip Holtz is probably his second to last game as head coach for South Florida. Hearing rumblings that he's going to get fired. But I'll go Cincinnati 24, South Florida 13. And Arizona State at Arizona. Rivalry game here, late night game on ESPN Friday night. I'll go Rich Rodriguez in the Arizona Wildcats. Oh man, it'll be a high scoring game. over 30 points for both teams, but I'll go Arizona in a close one, 37-34 over Arizona State. Saturday, Georgia Tech at Georgia. The first game on ESPN following game day, which is at USC. Still don't understand that because USC's unranked. If I was game day, I would either be going to Oregon State or Florida State, but it's not my decision. Either way, Georgia Tech I don't think has a chance against Georgia. Georgia's defense too much, offense is too much. Georgia Tech's triple option attack has not been effective this year, but with how terrible the ACC is, they'll be going to the ACC championship game, which is ridiculous. I mean, here's the funny scenario: if Georgia Tech loses this game, they'll be 6-6 going into the ACC championship game. And if they win that game, they'll be 7-6 and have an automatic spot in the Orange Bowl. This is a team that lost to Middle Tennessee State by about 20 points. And it might have been more. I think it was like 49-28. It might have been about 3 touchdowns. 49-28. Had that right. And that's not a team that should be having a chance at a BCS Bowl. That's just ridiculous. But it is what it is, and that's how college football is right now. And either way, I'll go Georgia 34, Georgia Tech 10. Rutgers at Pitt. This will be a low-scoring game. I think Rutgers' great defense. Pittsburgh has that run approach with Ray Graham. And it'll be a close-scoring game. Rutgers plays all their games close because they play good defense, offense, and subpar. But I think Gary Nova and company gets a few plays behind that Pittsburgh secondary. They win this game 17-7 over Pitt. 17-10. Michigan at Ohio State. Man. Denard Robinson, Devin Gardner versus Braxton Miller and Urban Meyer. This will be a fun game to watch. Definitely this will be the game I'm going to be watching. Well, actually, I'm going to the Iron Bowl this weekend, so I won't be watching this. But anyways, oh man, it'll be fun to watch Devin Gardner and Denard Robinson in the same backfield. But Ohio State, it's the last game of the season, and they're fighting for an undefeated regular season, 12-0. It'll be a successful year under Urban Meyer, and if they weren't on probation, would probably be going to the national championship if they win this game. That said, Michigan plays them tough, but I don't think this. I think Ohio State ends the streak at 1 for Michigan. Be a close game. I do think it'll be a 3-point game, field goal game. But I'll go Ohio State and 27, Michigan 24. Connecticut at Louisville. Louisville's coming to bounce back after that bye week following the embarrassing loss to Syracuse, which dropped them all the way from like number 9 in the country to 20. And I told you guys, I've said this before, just like another funny scenario. I said probably in about 5 or 6 of my videos, if Louisville and Rutgers both were undefeated going into next week's matchup, which would be Louisville versus Rutgers, both teams would probably be ranked in the top 10, somewhere probably like 6 and 7 or 7 or 8. And with the way things have played out, if the winner of that game would have won the Big East and would still be undefeated. And it would be very, very possible that the winner of that game will go to the national championship if Notre Dame loses to USC. And I told you guys that would happen, but they lost to freaking Syracuse and Kent State. So, anyways, Teddy Bridgewater, and they'll come bounce back, get another Big East win, and the Big East title will be on the line next week between Louisville and Rutgers. But Connecticut not enough to beat Louisville. And I'll go Louisville 31, Connecticut 20. Illinois at Northwestern. Illinois, worst team in the Big Ten. And Northwestern should have no problem in this game. Oh, man. Northwestern 42, Illinois 17. Virginia at Virginia Tech. Virginia, this is a big rivalry game if not too many people know about it. But Virginia Tech's bowl eligibility is on the line here. And Virginia doesn't, I think they're 4 and 7, so they don't have a chance at a bowl game. But anyways, I think this will be a low-scoring game. Defenses will play in this game. It'll be a good quarterback matchup between Phillip Sims and Logan Thomas. Both have been good at times. Both have been bad at times. But Virginia Tech wins this game late at home and goes on to go to a bowl game. I got Virginia Tech 27, Virginia 20. Indiana at Purdue. This could be a fun game to watch. If Purdue wins this game, they're going to a bowl game. But Purdue has struggled at home this year, which is non-traditional of their program, but Indiana offense wins this game in a close one, the first one over Purdue in a long, long time, and I'll go Indiana 30-34, Purdue 27. How do you like my little thing there? Kentucky at Tennessee, both teams. Well, this game really forces either team to have a win in the SEC play. And both teams bad, but Kentucky's on a different level of bad than Tennessee is. Both teams going to be having different head coaches next year, but Tennessee has more talent than Kentucky, and they're playing at home. I think they should win this game by 2 touchdowns. I'll go Tennessee 34, Kentucky 20. Miami at Duke. I want to say Duke's going to win this game, but they're not. Miami's going to win. But Duke will be going to a bowl game, though. And Miami, I'll say Miami 27, Duke. No, Miami 34, Duke 24. Baylor versus Texas Tech. This game, it says being playing at a neutral location. I did not know that. But two good offensive. Texas Tech has struggled, though. The defense was really good the first 2 weeks of the season, first half of the season at that. But ever since they played Oklahoma, the defense has gone downhill. Tommy Tuberville snatching people's earpieces off. But Baylor, man, coming off a huge win against Kansas State, #1 team in the country, goes down by 20-plus points. So both teams have good offenses. With that said, I'll go Baylor. Baylor, some people might think it's a surprising pick, but why wouldn't you pick Baylor in this game with a struggling Texas Tech defense and a team that just beat the #1 team in the country by 20 points? And I'll go Baylor 48, Texas Tech 40. Oregon at Oregon State. I would love to see Oregon State win this game in Corvallis for the first time in forever, but I don't think it's going to be a very close game. Oregon State's a great team. They beat Stanford, or did they? I don't know. I think Stanford. Yeah, they lost to Stanford late, so they competed with Stanford. Stanford beat Oregon, so I don't know if you can play the transitional property there, but rivalry game. So first off, anything can happen in this game, but man, for some reason, I think Oregon's going to come back after that loss and win this game, and I'll say by a touchdown. Very close. I'll go Oregon 34, Oregon State 27. Boston College at North Carolina State. Mike Lennon and company scored 48 points on Clemson last week. That'll carry over next week. The difference about this game, they're not going to give up 62 points like they did to Clemson last week. Boston College's offense is near on par with Clemson's. And with that said, I'll go 37 North Carolina State, Boston College 20. Maryland at North Carolina. As long as their linebacker's a quarterback, they're not going to win a game. North Carolina, 42, Maryland 17. Auburn at Alabama. Man, I got to do my video here in a second. But anyways, I'll go Alabama 37, Auburn 7. Just Auburn, they're going to score on a punt return, get lucky on a play, but they have no good quarterback play, no offense whatsoever, bad defense. We're just going to pound them all game. Don't expect A.J. McCarron to have over any more than 200 yards, probably just around 200, maybe 2 touchdowns. Eddie Lacy, T.J. Yeldon, they'll have big games. Florida at Florida State. Game's being played in Tallahassee. 2:30 game on ABC. And I've been seeing a bunch of people over on the internet, like or commentators or whatnot, like Herbstreit saying that he would be shocked if Florida won this game. And I don't see that. Florida State, they're not all that. They have a good defense with a below average offense. E.J. Manuel is a good quarterback, but other than him, they don't have anybody that impresses me. They have a decent wide receiver core, but E.J. Manuel, he's a good quarterback, but just that offense just not click. Like it just doesn't. And I don't know. I think they've scored a lot of points this year, but I mean it's been against subpar teams, and I just think Florida's gonna win this game on defense, and I'll go. I mean, don't get me wrong, Florida State, they scored a lot of points this year. They can be good at times, but they just not played against defenses that are worthy, and this is gonna be probably the best defense they played so far this season. And it'll bite them in the butt. And I'll go Florida 20-24, Florida State 20. Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. This will be a fun game to watch. Two good offenses going at it, but Oklahoma, the better defense, playing in Norman. Won't lose this game for the second year in a row. They'll bounce back from last year's blowout loss. Oklahoma 40, Oklahoma State 27. Michigan State at Minnesota. Minnesota's been a surprising team this year, but Michigan State, Le'Veon Bell, too much for that Minnesota team. It'll be a tough loss for Minnesota, but I think it's going to happen. Michigan State 27, Minnesota 17. Vandy at Wake Forest. Wake Forest, man, I pull for Wake Forest. For some reason, I'm just attracted to that program, but man, they're sad this year. They're not a good team. Offense is terrible. They can't always coach up some corners. The two corners on that team can pose a threat to quarterbacks, but that's not enough to get you far as a football team. Just having two corners that are good. But Vandy should roll 30-13. Wisconsin at Penn State. Penn State will give them a tough task there in Happy Valley, but Monte Ball, James White, too much for Penn State. High scoring game for Big Ten standards anyway. I'll go 33-30. Wisconsin's gonna win. Man, there's not too many more left. Stanford at UCLA. Been seeing a lot of people think UCLA is gonna win this game, but I don't. I think Stanford's gonna win this game. They're the real deal. New quarterback played great. Definitely shocked the world. Kevin Hogan? Hogan is his last name. He played great against Oregon, and UCLA did impress against USC, but I mean USC kind of choked that game away. Really, I mean even though UCLA, don't get me wrong, came out to a 24-0 lead, but USC more talent than UCLA, just made stupid mistakes that lost them the game. But Jonathan Franklin, Brett Hundley, just a dangerous duo. But you saw what Stanford did against a high attack team in Oregon last week, and aside from those two guys, UCLA doesn't have too much. And with that said, Stanford, with their defense, wins this game 24-20 over UCLA. Missouri at Texas A&M. I'm not sure if you really could call this a rivalry, but it is kind of fun to watch this game with the two new teams coming in the SEC, and you'll definitely see in this game that Texas A&M is the better of the two teams by far. Man, I'll go Texas A&M by 30 points. I'll go Texas A&M 47, Missouri 17. South Carolina at Clemson. South Carolina playing pretty bad football lately. The record doesn't really show for it, but they've been struggling with teams. It was tied with Wofford in the fourth quarter, 7-7. That's inexcusable as an SEC team that's ranked 12th in the country. And with that, they dropped. But Clemson's ranked number 11, playing at Death Valley. Going to be a really tough game for South Carolina. Clemson's going to be looking to return the favor for last season when South Carolina selected them. And it'll be really hard containing DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins, Andre Ellington, Todd Boyd. But defense wins this game. I don't know how. I don't know why. And it may seem impossible to some people. But I'll go I'll go South Carolina 31-27 over Clemson. And last but not least, Notre Dame at USC. Notre Dame, we'll be able to see if Notre Dame's the real deal. Not just because USC is a talented team, and Notre Dame should win this game. They're the better team. Matt Barkley's hurt, so they should win this game. But really going to see this is probably the biggest test in Notre Dame's season thus far, because this game brings them to the national championship game. If they win this game, they're in for sure 100% lock in Miami. So we'll be able to see if Notre Dame can play like champions this week. The pressure's all on them. USC has no pressure whatsoever. They have really nothing to play at all for this game. They're going to a bowl game. They can't win the Pac-12. They'll go to some crap bowl. Matt Barkley's hurt, so no pressure. No pressure on the quarterback. No pressure. It's a rivalry game, so they'll be ready to play Notre Dame. I mean, USC will, but Notre Dame will too. And just with all the implications going into the game, it'll be very tough. Very, very tough for Notre Dame to overcome the pressure of being the number one team in the country. As we saw the two teams last week, nobody really predicted those two teams to lose, and they did. It's so underrated how hard it is to keep the pressure of the number one team in the country, especially going into a rivalry type situation against USC. But with that said, with everything I just said, Notre Dame wins this game by a field goal. Notre Dame 27, USC 24. That quarterback will make a mistake, which loses USC the game. Matt Whittick is his name, I think. Max Whittick. He's a freshman. So yeah, that's been my week 13 prediction video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what your predictions are for this week in the comment section below. And as always, roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans to you. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See ya.